Please don't watch this video if you're sensitive. Now, in the fellowship with this family that we had, the eldest daughter and the two parents were able to go down some significant rabbit holes, and I will take you down some today. So as you can see from this image, I slaughtered a chicken by cutting it on both sides of its head and held it upside down as it was bleeding out down my hand, and had my hand in a fist position around its esophagus, and then ended up taking off its feathers. Because here's the thing, we should learn how to do other skills and other things besides just philosophizing on TikTok. Look, it's great to be academic and it's great to know certain things, but what about when the lights go out, the electricity goes off, and we need to do things that are pertinent to the real world? Now, our brother Judah has a Day of Atonement tradition called Kapparot. So if you're like a Hasidic Jew, for example, you might slaughter a chicken after waving it around your head, or engage in almsgiving thinking that it gets you forgiveness of sins, or that it opens up some portal from heaven to you to impart blessings upon your life. But brothers, where is this in Tanakh? We do not once see in Torah a sacrifice of chickens, maybe pigeons, but even though chicken is a clean animal, it's not there. And number two, while the Tanakh absolutely encourages almsgiving to those who are, the women that are widowed and the orphan and the poor, it doesn't say that that opens up forgiveness of sins. So, of course, as I was slaughtering the chicken, I did it with an attitude of, this is where our food comes from, and not with an attitude of, this is going to get me forgiveness of sin and make atonement for my past sin. Now, what's interesting is that my peers who I used to go to school with are highly offended that I would ever slaughter a chicken. And there are some Jews who are part of the sects that observe this chicken slaughtering tradition, but they don't participate because of ethical reasons. Some people just don't like slaughtering animals, which of course is ridiculous because they'll turn around, go to the grocery store, and eat them. Our brother Judah also likes engaging in pagan custom and tradition, i.e., Labag Omer, the 33rd day in the Omer count. But brothers and sisters, the number 33 is a pagan number. I mean, at this point, you might as well be a part of the Wicca religion because it's duotheistic, and you're essentially worshiping another god at that point by creating your own tradition. And you might as well then worship the sun, moon, and stars as part of Wiccan tradition, as is prohibited by Torah. Or you might as well be a Trinitarian. This is where the triple goddess concept aligns with that. Brothers and sisters, this is not to put anybody down whatsoever. The number 33 is associated with spiritual energy that is not of Elohim. I mean, why is the highest degree in Freemasonry 33rd degree? Maybe Brother Judah can answer this question. No, the majority of Messianic congregations and Judaic congregations that I come across have congregants that don't want to seek things out, like totally mindless. And we have plenty of smart people who do not use their smarts for Elohim. And I think this is why I have some Orthodox Jews who are very well versed in Tanakh approaching me, because they can't have some of these conversations with other people who they fellowship with. I know our brother Judah is dying for a Levitical order, and I want to assure them that it is coming back in some form, but it will not be all-encompassing as it was before. That's why we read one chapter after this that the sacrifices are for the sins that are committed unintentionally by the people, likely the people who are not in resurrected bodies at this time. And we see a prophecy in verse 18 of the chapter 44 passage that the priests will wear linen turbans on their heads and linen undergarments around their waists. They must not wear anything that makes them perspire. So then it would be silly to say that the priests are going to be wearing polyester or nylon or acrylic, because what good is that going to do them when the fabrics are pretty tight against the skin? Many of our Unitarian brothers and sisters, by the way, just wanted to mention that I notice some of you guys just don't enjoy your walks, and it's very sad. They like to use John chapter 20 and verse 23, where Yeshua says, if you forgive the sins of any, they are forgiven them. If you retain the sins of any, they are retained. So it's like the disciples have this power of forgiveness that exists beyond Elohim, right? No, this is an incorrect reading of the passage. What the verse actually means is that the individual's sins have already been forgiven or retained by God. So the apostles are acting as apostolic priests and declaring forgiveness to people upon the hearing of the Spirit, which is why Yeshua says, I breathe my Spirit on you. It's just like a Levitical priest. They would, from the Spirit, know that Elohim had forgiven someone when they brought their sacrifice with a contrite heart, but they would not themselves forgive that person. And this is exactly what we see from the marginal note in the NASB Hebrew Greek Study Bible. So we can make a whole lot more sense of Matthew or Mattityahu chapter 9 and verse 6, which says, but I want you to know that the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins. So he said to the paralyzed man, get up, take your mat, and go home. So we know that husbandry is the act of cultivation. And so Yahweh the Father assumes the role of being the vine dresser. So in John or Yochanan chapter 15, verses 1 through 5, Yeshua says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away, and every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes, meaning he makes corrections, he disciplines, so that it may bear more fruit. Already you are clean because of the word that I have spoken to you. What is the word? It comes from the front of the book. It's Tanakh. He says, abide in me and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine. Neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever abides in me and I in him, he it is that bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. Yeshua operates on Elohim's rules from the Torah. And I've heard it said before that every religion worships the same God or Elohim. Now, people in different religions might be trying to find truth, and they may believe that that religious belief is the truth. But here's the thing, brothers and sisters. If you have different rules in each religion, you have a different rule maker. And logically speaking, that means that each religion serves a different Elohim. And I got more questions about the Acts 15 council. Our brothers in Rabbinic Judaism are like, so where does the authority of the apostles come from? Well, they were operating on Torah principles. They were not deviating away from Torah principles. And the 4 laws that they gave people to start with apply to the native born and the stranger verbatim. But we know that curiosity breeds intelligence. So the more curious you are about scripture or any subject matter, the more you're going to end up knowing about it. Now, some scholars say that the word husband means working man. And yes, that is accurate. If you're a husband, you work to provide for your family. But you're also someone who's good at gardening and cultivating. And I highly encourage the art of gardening and cultivation, especially as things potentially come down to the wire and the supply chain may fail. You know, we constantly hear from those in Rabbinic Judaism the phrase, my beloved is to me, and I am to my beloved. Well, brothers and sisters, there's a biblical translation called the Bibliotheca Sacra, and I believe that some of their New Testament actually works to better translate the Greek to English. And this translation was founded at the Union Theological Seminary in 1843. And this translation contains a John 3:16 that reads like, he who is faithful to the Son of Elohim shall not perish, but shall have everlasting life. It's much different when you think of belief as executing and performing actions according to Scripture in your life and make applications and not just as something intellectual. So when Paul or Shaul tells Timothy to rightly divide up the word of truth, he's talking about making the proper intellectual applications of Scripture And then, of course, that should lead to you implementing them in your life and making them a part of your being.